Join us as we share our story on CEDAW advocacy work and transformative power of international solidarity in the pursuit of gender equality. In this video, we will share our experience, strategies, and best practices to achieve our advocacy goal.
I'm called Winnie Tomwine, working with Hope for Single Mothers with Disability. I'm executive and the founder of the organization. I'm physically disabled by my right arm and my left leg. Rwandan Consortium submitted a shadow report parallel to the 10th CEDAW report for the government of Rwanda to the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. We have issues raised.
CEDAW Article 7 on participation in political and public life. Rwanda has a strong women representation with 60% of women sitting on the Chamber of Deputies, exceeding the minimum of 30% law, as well as one seat out of total of 80 is reserved for persons with disabilities.
Still, those provisions have never allowed any representation of women with disability. We found out of that reserved seat is elected by National Council of Persons with Disability has been permanently occupied by men. As well, no elected women with disabilities. We acknowledge that women with disabilities are eligible and candidates from the specific political parties and other leadership positions in Rwanda. Has also put in place institutions, arrangements, including the gender machinery and grassroots structure, specifically for the National Women's Council. However, there remain systematic and structure barriers, specifically for women with disabilities, that need to be addressed. Health and family planning, Article 12 for the CEDAW. Women and girls with disabilities in all the diversity have the same sexual reproductive health rights, SRHR, related needs and rights as those without disabilities. Studies have shown that they are sexually active and have the same concerns about sexuality, relationships, and identity as their peers. We often stigma and misconception about disability, along with lack of accessible SRH information and services, limited personal autonomy, lack of empowerment, prevent women and girls with disability from leading healthy sexuality lives and full enjoyment for their lives. CEDAW is very important human rights treaty to which almost every country has signed on. Has helped transform the world by providing legal framework to ensure the respect, protection, and fulfillment of the rights of women and girls, including women and girls with disabilities. But of many years, women and girls with disabilities have been left off for the women's rights agenda in almost every country. By CEDAW Committee of Experts has long recognized the unique description of women with disabilities experience and has called the state's parties to include women with disabilities to their gender equality efforts. Therefore, to influence a legal framework in the consortium seized the opportunity to share the facts and lived experience of women with disabilities from the grassroots level and bring attention to the committee the intersectionality of the gender, disability, and discrimination.
Hello, I'm called Dativa Mukashema. I'm profoundly a deaf woman. I'm executive director of Rwanda National Association of Deaf Women. After Geneva, we hope to bring to the forefront the issues of women with disabilities and become visible enough in the process. Because some issues were possible for the state to brush aside and ignore the problems. We hope the recommendations make it easier to influence the decision makers. Directly interact with the state reps in case it was Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion who for the first time meets some of us. Some of the key concerns were raised to the committee, which included to reform Constitutional Article 75 to allow for 2 male and female representations from the National Council of Persons with Disabilities in Parliament. In addition, ensure that the 30% women quota has at least 10% representation of women with disabilities at all levels, and in all national structures of women, including gender machinery in public office and at the senior level of private institutions. To establish and ensure free accessibility to disability-inclusive and disability-specific schools at all levels, and ensure inclusive access to social protection services, including direct support that enable women and girls with disabilities to have equal access to education. Put in place a law that ensures consent, including third-party consent, chosen by the service seeker for women and girls with disabilities to decide on family planning methods of their choice. Ensure representation of women with disabilities as part of community health workers at community levels, and provide disability workers' needs to ensure their meaningful representation and participation. Recognize Rwandan Sign Language as an official language, expedite the Sign Language Dictionary, fund training, standardization and certification for sign language interpreters, and ensure services are available to the deaf. Ensure sexual and reproductive health services for women with disabilities are accessible, available, and affordable. I'm Patience Iribagiza, the Executive Director of AfroArc. The Women Gaining Ground Rwanda partners have employed different strategies to amplify voices of women and girls with disabilities. This included engaging in global to local sessions to understand the process and for effective lobbying, to identify key CEDAW committee members for targeted discussions, and also conduct lunch briefings to present key issues. Additionally, we engage strategic allies, partners, and donors to support the advocacy process. CEDAW Framework is a space that amplifies the voices of women, marginalized communities, and diverse advocates across the globe, driving comprehensive social, political, and economic change alongside other critical human rights issues. A follow-up advocacy is equally important and a significant process. As soon as the recommendations are published on the website of the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, we shall analyze them in relation to the issues, accurate translation, and build a strategy for further advocacy. This is a tool that will help us start a dialogue and build a process of cooperation with the state to eliminate problems and barriers that violate the rights of women with disabilities. The overall process is an eye-opener to understand how much work we have and our role as organizations of persons with disabilities. It's an empowering process for organizations of women and girls with disabilities, as it placed us in the position to influence the whole decision-making process, to ensure a more systematic approach to strengthen the inclusion of rights of women and girls with disabilities in countries' efforts to achieve gender equality, empowerment of all women and girls, and the realization of their rights. We commend consortium partners Euro-Asian Pacific, Korea, Akilidada, and Kevina Till Kevina for their great strategic partnership through collaboration and facilitations that should continue to build synergies and enhance capacities, knowledge, and the networks each partner brings.